You have been analyzing Google Ads wrong this whole time. Google Ads is more than just tracking your spending and ROAS. Learning how to actually analyze your ads is going to help you to improve your performance and stop you wasting a ton of money and not getting the results that you want inside of Google Ads. In this video, I'll be breaking down how to analyze your Google Ads so you can understand the performance, make the adjustments to improve your ROI and make more money at the end of the day. There's going to be two main metrics. You're going to have your primary metrics, which is focusing on the conversion aspect of how many purchases you're getting. And you also have your soft metrics. Now your soft metrics are going to help you to analyze where the issue lays in terms of the bottleneck on the website, on the checkout page, on the cart page, and your primary conversion is going to basically tell you how well that campaign is doing. But mainly with Google Ads, there's three ways to analyze a Google Ads. You have your campaign, you have your ad group, and then you have your keyword or product level. And this is basically and essentially where you have to analyze on every single step, because a campaign just shows the overall performance while the keyword and the product shows the actual performance of a campaign. So I'm going to quickly share this Google Doc with you. It'll be in the description of this video where you can just have this reference information. But the most important things that we want to focus on when we're analyzing the campaigns is, are we making a return of investment? Now this return of investment can be done from looking at your return of ad spend, your cost per conversion. If you're doing lead gen, you want to look at your cost per lead. If you're doing e-commerce, you want to look at your cost per acquisition cost. Next, we have your conversion rate. So conversion rate is going to basically tell us how well this campaign is converting, and it's going to be explaining the higher the conversion rate, obviously the more people converting. We next have conversion value. This basically means that how much revenue are we actually generating from this campaign. And then we have value per conversion. That's just basically what is the average order value on that. Then we go into the soft metrics. So the soft metrics is important to understand because we want to improve something. Like for example, if we have a low ROAS on a campaign, we may have a low amount of clicks, or we may see a high amount of clicks because we just don't have the right product page for it. Next we're going to do is look at clicks, impressions, click-through rates, cost per click, search impression share. This basically means how often is our ad showing up when someone looks for the keyword that we're bidding on. We've got click share, is basically the same as impression share, but how many of the clicks are we actually getting in that auction. Then we have quality score. So quality score is how relevant your ads are to the user. One of the most important things is making sure that your ads, your keywords, your landing pages, your product pages, your collection pages, is all congruent. We really need to make sure that the person is looking for pink dress, for example, is going to see a pink dress product and it's going to land on the pink dress product page or collection page, for example. And then we have top impression share and absolute top impression share. This basically means how well our ads are positioned. It used to be an average position, but now Google changed it back in like 2017, I believe, where they basically now have a percentage. And then we got view rate. This is basically means how well a video is being viewed on Google. So let's just dive straight into the client's campaign here. Now we can quickly see that we have the different ROASes. You got a 9, you got a 3, you got a 2, you got a 2, you got a 2, you got a 2, you got a 1, and a 0.75. So you can see all the different types of ROAS here. Conversion value, we can basically see how much revenue is being generated from these campaigns. We can also see the conversion rate of every single one of these campaigns. We can see the cost per conversion. This client basically needs to have a cost per conversion of $80 or less. And then you can see how many purchases have these campaigns have generated. When we first go in to analyze your Google Ads here, we can quickly see on the campaign level that there is some very healthy campaigns that are generating revenue and hitting the client's KPIs. So sometimes, let's just say you're not getting results like this one here. This one here isn't getting the results that we want. So let's analyze this, because I think this will be really helpful, because the biggest thing about Google Ads, by the way, is you need to have data inside the account. If you only had spent $200, $500, it's not really enough to get data. Ideally, you need to let campaigns run for 7 days, but Google wants you to run campaigns consistently for 60 days because it needs to get data. This is especially for new advertisers. If you already advertising, you have to budget, you've been spending budget, then you want to make sure you have enough data first before making any decisions. I can quickly do the last 3 months, for example, give these campaigns enough data. Yeah, we can basically go in here, we can start analyzing this campaign, for example. It is not achieving the cost per acquisition cost that we want. So let's analyze and understand why this is happening. So I'm having a look at this campaign at the moment. It looks like the conversion rate's pretty good compared to the other campaigns. It's just at the moment our cost per acquisition is too high. I'm gonna have a little look at the campaign here. So the thing that's really screaming out to me at the moment is it looks like we're paying a lot for a cost per click here. You can see here we're paying about £2.23 for a click, while some other campaigns that are getting better ROASes are spending below the £2 mark. at the moment we're paying a lot for a click, and if we don't have that much traffic converting, then there's going to be an issue laying in there. Because it's a PMAX campaign, PMAX campaigns are very different to analyze to any other type of campaigns out there because the way it's structured. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click into this campaign here, and you can see this campaign was actually made in June, so it's only been running for about 30 days. But what I'm going to do is I am going to look at insights. Now on a PMAX insight, this basically means what we're showing up for in terms of search themes. So what I mean by that is if I just scroll down here, for example, we're showing up for men's white trainers, but inside of that we can be showing up for white trainers men, men's smart white trainers, men plain white trainers, men's white designer trainers. So we're showing up these different terms, for example. So I'm going to quickly look through all the terms here because we want to make sure that these are relevant. Now most of the terms that are coming through are relevant. There's a few things that I may not want to have, like Noel Gallagher white trainers, for example, or there's a few competitors terms in here. For example, I may want to exclude this because it's not maybe the most relevant traffic to what I want to bring to my website, which is going to maybe potentially lower our cost per click down. Now you want to look through this to make sure that there's terms or insights that are not relevant, for example. So maybe Patagonia trainers. I'm not too sure how much Patagonia trainers are, but our client shoes are well over £200, for example. Are Patagonia trainers like $50 to $100? If they are, I probably want to exclude this. If I exclude this, this is probably going to help with reducing the cost per click. Now the other thing you want to do when you are running PMAX campaigns is you want to go to asset groups, and if you're running multiple assets groups, for example, you want to go to the table section, you want to go to columns here, and then you just basically want to type in conversions and click on conversions, cost per conversion, conversion rate, conversion value divided by cost, and average value conversion. I want to do cost as well, so I thought to do cost. Let's add in cost. The reason why I added in cost is because I want to see what's getting the most budget. Now the reason why ad strength says poor is because we're doing a shopping only PMAX. Basically we're not adding in photos and text because we only want to show up on the feed of Google search for shopping. The other thing as well, at the moment there's no search themes, so we could potentially add search themes to see if we can help, but at the moment it looks like both of these products are getting even split of pricing. Is about $200 something. Next way to analyze your PMAX campaigns is you want to go to products. Now the reason why we want to do this is because PMAX campaigns, there's different ways to look at the data, but the way to optimize and analyze is by looking at what the product is getting the spend. So we can see here that the spend is actually very evenly distributed across the board for what we're looking to sell. You can see that not like one particular product's going to get all the spend, which I'm going to show you in a second. It looks like all these products are getting even spend. I can see that the biggest issue was the cost per clicks. So you can see that these ones here is below £2. You can see these ones are quite high. The click-through rate is quite low on some of these. Like I'm paying a high cost per click here, for example, but the CTR is above a 1, and I can see that when the CTR is above a 1 and the high cost per click, we're hitting that 3x ROAS that we're looking for. In this instance here, what I would potentially try and do with analyzing this is I may go to the asset groups. I may add in search themes, for example, actually more terms added onto the asset groups to help with the performance, or making sure we're showing to the right demographic for the search themes and the search terms that we're looking for to sell these shoes, for example. But the insights is quite relevant in that aspect. So what I may want to do, for example, is I may want to go and actually optimize the bid strategy to maybe focus on a ROAS. At the moment we're focusing on a conversion value, basically saying to Google just get us as much revenue as possible. In some scenarios it's very different. This is a completely different video for having what bid optimization to use for, but because we're only doing maximized revenue at the moment, Google's not going to be focusing too much on performance in terms of hitting ROAS targets. It's just going to be focusing on generating as much revenue as possible. Now let's just go to another campaign for you that was doing well. You can see this campaign has hit a 2.4x. It's generated over £13,000 and it's hitting a £71 CPA, and it's a conversion rate of 1. Same again with PMAX. All I want to do is click on insights. With insights I'm just going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm going to have a look at who my top competitors are. Another thing as well when analyzing your results is to look into auction insights and really understand who you're up against. Sometimes your performance can drop because a competitor has started way outspending you, which I'm going to show you in a second. This is going to be impacting your results because they've obviously started spending more than you. They're going to be showing higher up in the auction. They're going to be showing up more often. If they're showing up in the first 3 for the Google shopping ad, there's more likely someone clicking on their product over your product, for example. The only thing I would have to say that we may want to exclude is we do have a men's term showing when we want to focus on women, but it has generated 2 conversions, so I may may not be too petty about it because it is generating us conversions. Insights here, we're looking for shoes, and shoes are getting most of the clicks, which is good. Women's clothing, again, we're selling shoes. Women clothing makes sense. So now I'm in asset groups. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm going to look at the tables. This time we have 3 different asset groups showing, one with photos and one with no photos. I just want to see what is getting most of the spend. The asset group with the photos is getting the most spend, and it's hitting the best ROAS performance. In terms of conversion rate, it's not getting the best conversion rate. We don't want to worry too much when you're using asset groups of photos and images and videos, because it's going to be showing on the display network, the Google network, YouTube network, so your impression be way higher because it's showing to more people. So you can see, for example, that the impressions is way higher than the other asset groups, and because the impressions are way higher, the clicks are going to be more, but the clicks may not be the best clicks because of the display network, YouTube network. But we can see that most of these asset groups are hitting the CPA target that we're looking for, which is below £80. So again, we may want to go into products, look at products, and start seeing if there's anything that is alarming to us. This is a great way to start analyzing ads. We can see that these 2 products, for example, they're getting the most spend. They're not hitting the KPIs that we want. This is £171 CPA and this is £102 CPA, which basically means it's going to increase our cost per acquisition, which means that the campaigns are going to be less profitable because these are taking all the spend, but it's getting a high acquisition cost. There's 2 scenarios that we could do in this scenario. Because these 2 shoes are our client's best sellers, we can leave them running because they are our client's best sellers and it's maybe just having a blip in the optimization, or we can exclude them. Now, if you are running all your campaigns, and let's say you have all your products in one asset group and there's products that are taking a lot of spend, you may want to exclude them completely. Because we're selling shoes, we have multiple sizes. Sometimes you can trick Google and it will optimize better for a certain size over other sizes. We've seen it with this client. For some reason, if one size is getting all the clicks and not the best conversions, like you can see here, these top 2 here, we may want to just exclude them and let the other sizes do the rest. So it's a catch-22 what you want to do, because if you have a bestseller that's taking all the spend, that's not getting the KPIs, you may want to exclude it. It may not be a bestseller on Google, but it may be a bestseller on other channels. In this instance, we're going to keep them running just because it is the client's bestseller, and when you obviously click on the shoe, you can obviously choose your sizes on one page. It's not allowed to flick through. So in this scenario, we basically kept them running. The biggest thing that I'm seeing here at the moment is the CTRs are quite low, which is probably means that these shoes are being shown more on the display network and YouTube network. So in this scenario, we'll probably keep them running because all the other shoes are getting good CPAs and good ROASs. The ones that are getting the most spend will average out to below what we want, which you can see on this campaign was $71. Another thing that you want to do when analyzing your Google Ads campaigns is to make sure that you are excluding all apps. It's really important to exclude all apps because, let's just say, people in their 30s plus, majority of them have children, they let their kids go on their phones, your ads will be showing up in these games, they may click on it and you're wasting spend. So definitely remove this. The other thing as well when analyzing your Google Ads and your PMAX is you want to come down to auction insights. You want to click on shopping here. This is basically going to show us who we're up against. This is really important when you're trying to understand how to analyze your ads, because you may have competitors bidding the same and you basically showing up the same amount of time as you. So you can see here, these are all the competitors our client is up against. There's 78 competitors. So we have 78 competitors in this campaign going for the same target market as us. So you can see that we're getting most of the impression share. You can see that this other company here, for every 100 searches, they're showing up 41% of the time as us. You can see the overlap rate basically means is how often they are going to be showing up in the same auction as you. So we can see that they're showing up 44% of the time. And outranking basically means how often we're outranking them on the network. So how often our ads are shown before them on the Google shopping. So this is really important to understand, because if you start seeing your competitors' impression share increasing, it basically means they're starting to spend more on advertising. Now let's go to a search campaign. It's really important when you're running ads, you need to be building different campaigns out, but analyzing all campaigns is going to be roughly the same. How well a campaign is doing in their primary in terms of getting you purchase or leads, and then how well is it doing in the soft metrics. It cannot improve the click-through rate. Well, I want to show you some search campaigns. I can also show you some shopping campaigns as well. So here's another client here. We can see that their search campaign here is generating us a return of 6.73x ROAS. So in the last 3 months, it's generated us $64,000 and it's converting at a 2.81%. It has an average order value of $333 and the average conversion to click. Now you may want to do this conversion when you want to understand how well a click is generating in terms of revenue. So you can see here the different types of how well clicks doing. I like to look at the ROAS more than anything, but it's always good to see how valuable a click is as well. We can see that all these ad groups are pretty much hitting the client's performance. We need a 4x plus. So we can look here and we can see the only one that's struggling, which is this one here, only spent $274 out of the $9,600 we spent. So you may want to leave this running. Now earlier I mentioned about absolute top impression share and the search top impression rate. So basically what this means is absolute basically means the very top, how often your ad is at the very top of every single Google search. So you can see that anytime someone looks for this keyword here, we are 51% of the times at the top, and then we're at 73% of the time we're in the top 4. It's very confusing to understand this, but you basically want to look at for every 100 how often we're going to be showing up. So for example, for every 100 searches we're showing up at the top 65 times, and then within that we're going to be in the top 1 position 36 times, for example. Impression share basically means how many impression shares are we getting. So for every 100 searches, how often are we showing up, for example. This client has a limited budget for certain metrics, so ideally you want your impression share to be at 70% or higher. The reason why is someone searched for you for 100 times, you're going to be showing up 70% of the time. Now this does really come down to budget, because the more you're spending, the more you're going to be showing up on a daily basis. The more you're showing up on a daily basis, the more chances you are to be showing up 70 times out of 100, for example. Analyzing this campaign at the moment, all the ad groups are looking pretty solid. You may want to then go into a keyword level, and the keyword level is when you can start really to optimize on actually improving results. So you can see here all these keywords are hitting the ROAS targets we want. If I just come down to here, for example, this one here is not generating us the ROAS target that we're looking for. However, it hasn't really spent a lot. It's only spent $76 out of 1,885. So in this scenario, I'm probably going to leave it running because it's not taking all the spend. It's potentially bringing traffic to the website that's signing up to the email list and getting retargeted on Google, or if they fall into Facebook, etc. So I'll probably leave this running because it's not taking all the spend up, for example. If we want to look, we can see what's getting the most spend. So the keywords that are getting the most spend are all hitting the ROAS target. You can see this one here again is at a 0.006, but you can see here it's had a 0.002 conversion. Basically, we use it, this is data-driven attribution, so it's probably led to a very early stage of a conversion, for example. Now it's only spent $123, so you may want to keep this running because it may change, it may improve. You want to just make sure that when you're analyzing these results here that you're really focusing on making sure that overall the ad group is profitable, and then overall the ad group is profitable inside of that campaign. Keep it running. So at the moment everything's looking really healthy in this account. Another way to go and analyze your results is by looking at your search terms. Now search terms is basically what your ad group is showing up for the keywords that you're showing for. Now this is blurred, like I said, because I don't want to be showing client information, but you can basically see that here is our keyword and then here is the search term, and you can see that this is all really pretty relevant to the client. Now a quick way to analyze this, for example, is to take the search term, go to add filter, go to search terms, and you can basically start adding in that does not contain what the keyword is. So we can then basically start going and looking at terms that we don't have our keyword in it, for example. So if our keyword, for example, was pink dress, we can type in pink as one of the search terms, and then underneath we'll do dress. So basically say if it does not contain pink or dress, then show us the search term. So we can basically make sure that all the search terms that are coming through are relevant. This campaign, we've been running it for over a year now, so it should be super optimized, like all the negative keywords in here. So this is another term for another car, for example. We may see that this car model isn't doing too well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, I'm going to type in the name of the car. This car has spent $32 in the last 3 months. Out of the $1,000 spent, it's only spent $31. It hasn't generated results. I'm going to leave this running in case it does. I'm willing to spend a client's AOV before making a decision on a certain car collection, for example. Because their AOV is $300, I'm happy for that term to basically spend $300. If it doesn't spend the $300, then what I'm going to do is I am going to exclude it once it's spent the $300. Now, most clients we don't really run YouTube advertising for, so I can't show you in this video how to analyze YouTube ads. YouTube ads is a very different ball game to generating results, but in this video I'm going to just quickly show you how to analyze a shopping campaign, and that's pretty much all the major campaigns covered. So let's just look at a campaign here. As we can see here at the moment, we're asking Google to get us a 5x. It's sitting at a 3.11x, so it's not hitting the target that we want. It's hitting a $91 acquisition cost. Ideally we want 80 on this campaign. I can see that the search impression share is 50%. I can see that we're getting a good click-through rate. So what I'm going to do is the same again is with shopping, you want to click on products. We can see the cost per clicks are good, the CTRs are good, the costs are good, the conversions are good, but the CPA is a little bit high. So what I'm going to do is go to search terms for this product, and I basically want to see if there's any terms that are not generating us any relevancy. So if I can just go to conversions, at the moment we got a keyword that's getting a lot of impressions but not many clicks, so we may want to look into that. Now we do have other campaigns set up, so this is the reason why this one may not be getting all the clicks. So in this instance here, I'm seeing a certain particular model showing up all the time. Since then, I may want to exclude these terms and build up a separate campaign for this, because these terms are being mixed with all these different types of car types. So we may want to exclude the terms here that are getting all the spend and have its own separate campaign, so we can control the spending of those search terms on that other campaign, for example. So we're allowed to have other keywords, other search terms showing through to see if it's relevant to the business. Now, most of the cases, if you have a very high CPC and a low ROAS, it basically means you're paying too much for a click, or there is something wrong with your website and you may not have the best conversion rate, for example. A high cost per click is not always the end of the world if you're getting a good return of investment. If you're not getting the results that you want inside of Google Ads and your metrics looking good, it's often a website. Most people look at Google Ads or any paid ads channel, it's their fault for not getting you the conversion you want. But you got to remember that traffic channels is there to get you traffic to your website. You need to make sure that your website is well optimized and giving the information to all the customers what they need to purchase. Now you know how to analyze your Google Ads, you know how to optimize your campaigns to improve your performance, making you more money and having less wastage of ad spend. The final steps is to basically create your campaign, let it run for 7 days, and then start analyzing from there to get you the best results. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.